Former Dutch international Pierre van Hooijdonk watched the display in horror. He told broadcasters that the overcomplicated, stuttering run-ups used by the players were idiotic, admitting the performance made him sick to his stomach. Morocco's goalkeeper, Yassine Bounou, barely had to work for the final victory. He comfortably read the hesitant approaches and swatted away the weak attempts to seal a 3-2 shootout win. Missing 3 penalties in a single shootout suggests a failure far deeper than simple bad luck. The hesitation, the wide misses, and the overthought techniques were the final symptoms of a team that had completely lost its nerve under pressure. The Netherlands arrived in Mexico ranked among the top 10 teams in the world. Their fans expected them to dictate the pace of matches, dominate possession, and make a deep run into the tournament. Those expectations come from a deeply rooted footballing DNA. Historically, Dutch teams play an aggressive, fluid style. They're taught to press high up the pitch, control the ball, and attack relentlessly. Against Morocco, they did the exact opposite. They retreated into their own half, surrendered possession, and allowed their opponents to dictate almost every sequence of play. By retreating into this defensive shell, they set the stage for the collapse that followed. To understand how they reached this point, we have to look at the tactical choices that essentially invited Morocco to take control. For the first 70 minutes, manager Ronald Koeman implemented a highly unusual defensive strategy. He set his team up in a deep block, inviting Morocco to bring the ball forward while the Dutch waited in their own penalty area. Morocco gladly accepted the invitation. Their captain, Achraf Hakimi, repeatedly drove down the right flank unchecked, applying constant, bruising pressure to the Dutch defense. This chart shows exactly how lopsided the match was during this period. Morocco held a staggering 79% of the possession leading up to the second half hydration break, while the Dutch struggled to even test the goalkeeper. Chasing the ball for over an hour exacts a heavy physical toll. The Dutch midfielders and defenders were running continuous sprints to close gaps, draining their energy reserves simply trying to keep Morocco out of the box. When a team sets up strictly to survive, they hand the initiative to their opponents. The constant defending tires the legs and dulls the mind, making late-game mistakes nearly inevitable as physical fatigue starts to cloud tactical judgment. Koeman finally altered his approach during the second half hydration break. He brought on physical substitutes and switched to Route 1 football, bypassing the midfield entirely by playing long, direct passes up the pitch. The adjustment worked instantly. Crescencio Somerville won a ball high up the pitch and fed Cody Gakpo, who buried a highly emotional goal against the run of play to give the Netherlands a 1-0 lead. But instead of using that momentum to press for a second goal, the Dutch immediately retreated again. They spent the final 20 minutes dropping deeper and deeper to protect a fragile 1-goal advantage. Realizing they were running out of time, Morocco threw everything forward. They sent their central defender, Issa Diop, up into the Dutch penalty box to act as a massive fourth attacking target. In the 91st minute, that desperation paid off. A long cross found Diop, who easily beat the exhausted Dutch defense in the air to head home the equalizer. The Dutch legs were gone. The mindset of pure survival had kept them alive for 90 minutes, but it left them entirely unequipped to handle extra time, or the shootout that followed. The institutional reaction was swift. Ronald Koeman posted a resignation statement on Instagram the very next day, stepping down and admitting he failed to meet the nation's expectations. Meanwhile, Captain Virgil van Dijk baffled pundits in his post-match interview. He stubbornly insisted the defensive game plan had worked, despite his team registering just 2 shots on target across 120 minutes of football. Off the pitch, the situation turned ugly. The young players who missed their penalties were subjected to a barrage of racist online abuse, forcing the Dutch Football Association and the Prime Minister to issue statements condemning the harassment. A passive, disorganized display on the pitch rarely stays contained to the grass. The total breakdown in tactics bred a frustrating defeat, which quickly spiraled into a toxic cultural fallout. With Koeman gone and 34-year-old Van Dijk expected to retire from international duty, the core leadership of this team is effectively dissolving. They arrived with top-tier talent, but chose to hide behind overly cautious setups and hesitant penalty techniques. By prioritizing defense over their natural strengths, they ensured their own early flight home. If the Netherlands want to compete for global championships again, they have a massive rebuilding project ahead. They have to strip away the fear-based tactics and rediscover the aggressive, confident identity that wants to find their presence on the world stage.